Welcome to GAC Time. We discuss all things General Hospital. So put your feet up, get your teacups, get your snacks, and let's begin. General Hospital Daily Recap, Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Let's see what our favorite bunch of characters are up to. Ethan was at the pier and he was leaving a message on his phone to someone, right? So he was like, I'm here, I want to meet you, such, such. Find out later he said Delilah's name. So it seems like there's the connection. So Ethan knows who Delilah is, who is baby Phoebe's mom. So we'll see how that progresses later on. Maybe he'll tell Brooklyn and who she was and stuff like that. Um Later on, Sonny comes up talking to Ethan and he asked him what he found out about Rick. So Ethan was telling him that, he met with Ava and he thinks that he's sending messages. He thinks that Rick is giving Ava messages to give to Sidwell. That, he's conspiring with Sidwell. This doesn't make sense. Sonny is believing it. I can understand why Sonny might believe it because of all the stuff that Rick did in the past. But if he wanted to speak to Sidwell, he could just go to Sidwell's house. He don't have to go to Ava and then tell Ava some stuff and then have Ava go over and tell That don't make sense. So Sonny is believing that Rick is up to some shenanigan stuff. Later he called Rick down to the pier and Sonny's talking to Rick and he asked him, some vague questions to see if Rick was going to be honest about where he was at. He didn't say he sat with Ava at that lunch. He told him he was in court or something like that. So Sonny was like, okay, like he was acting like he believed him. But Rick is digging a hole for himself. I told you, I think Rick is up to something. I don't know if it's to get Sonny or to get some money or to get what, but it's something. But he's going to make it bad for himself, and Sonny's going to be thinking the worst, and Rick might get the backlash for that. So we'll see what happens with this. Rick came over to the hospital to talk to Liz. He bought these big, beautiful bush thing of flowers for her. And Liz was like, I told you don't be bringing me no more flowers and stuff like that, here at the hospital. But he said, well, what if I tell you I'll donate them to one of the patients if you hear me out? So Rick is going to give them flowers to somebody in the hospital. But he was asking Liz would she go away for the weekend with him. And Liz said yes, but he didn't hear it. He thought Liz was just gonna come up with some excuse on why she can't go. Then he couldn't believe it. He was like, "Oh, great, so they're gonna go away for the weekend." Now, hear me out. I don't mind Liz and Rick together. I just would rather see her with Dante just to see something new and fresh and see something. I don't know. I just want to see something new, right? I mean, she can come back to Rick later if that's what they want to do, but I just kind of wanted them to feel that out. And if it wasn't Dante, maybe somebody else. But she's gonna go away with Rick for the weekend, and hopefully they have a good time, I guess. But we'll see what happens with this. This is why I like Laura the best, right? So just she called Justine over and she was asking her about that case, that Curtis, that she's trying to find out who this other driver is and stuff like that. So Justine was a little upset because she was like, well, Curtis shouldn't be talking about this. And Laura's like, I'm not telling anybody. So, but she was like, yes, Justine's like, yes, she's going to go after this driver and they think they found some fibers and stuff like that. And, and that they going to looking at Isaiah as the thing. And Laura's asking her, do you think that's wise, right? Do you have a real case? There is no case. So they are wasting police resources, the court's time, all this other nonsense. So Justina's like, yes, we need to bring some justice for Jordan. And Laura's like, look, I'm friends with both of them and I want some justice, but Curtis' judgment may be a little biased. And she was like, Justine's like, well, I'm not going to use the court, for that. We're going to make sure it's up to the straight and narrow. There is no case. I say that one more time. So I had a thought. I said, it would be really funny. I said they bring in Isaiah and Isaiah says that he wants to bring press charges against Jordan and Curtis for what they did. I feel like he can turn tables. It's ridiculous that they're gonna be wasting this man's time with this nonsense. But Jesse turned around and asked Laura, "What are you trying to say? Do you want me just to shelve this case?" And Laura was like, "No. If there's a case, then you should bring it." But if I was Laura, I'd have been yes, because leave this alone. Curtis is biased against Isaiah. It's really Jordan's fault that this happened. Like I said yesterday, it's just an unfortunate circumstance. They need to move on from this, but they're gonna drag this out. Liz came to visit Laura later on after Justine left, and she just wanted to tell Laura that Rick asked her to go out of town and that her son was gonna be home by himself and could she come in and check on him. And Laura was like, I'll do it better. I'll have him come over to dinner and stuff like that. And, so he'll have some interaction with somebody while she's gone. So Laura did ask her, do you think that it's wise that you go on with Rick, kind of rekindling that relationship? But Liz is giving him the benefit of the doubt. She's saying now that he's, trying to be more family orientated with Sonny, and it seems like his mindset has changed. She feels like he's a different person. I think they all gonna find out that Rick something. I don't know. Rick is Rick. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't know what Rick is up to. I feel like he's not working with Sitwell, but he's doing something. So we should see what happens with this. Jordan and Curtis were talking because Jordan is very happy. She just gets to leave this hospital, and they chit chatting about this and that. And it's funny because Curtis saw those flowers on her head by her bed, and he was like, "Who bought you those?" So she said, "Brick bought them." And Curtis kind of gave a side eye towards that because he was like, "Keep that man at bay," right? Brick ain't playing. He'd be up right in there if Curtis messes up. So with that, Jordan is kind of like she just wants to get out of there, which is understandable. Liz comes in and she had discharge papers, and she's like, "Look, we can get you out of here. Let's talk about your medication and stuff like that." She was trying to send Curtis out the room. Jordan was like, "Why don't you go get the car while I talk to Liz?" So Curtis was like, "No, I think I want to stay just in case, to help you out." I think that was probably the best thing because it seemed like Jordan kind of just disassociated. Like she just didn't hear anything that Liz was talking about with this medication, which makes me to believe that once she gets home, I don't think she's gonna be doing anything with these wounds or taking this medication. I think she just doesn't want this to be, which is, of course, understandable. She don't want to have to deal with it. But they left, went home, and Jordan was like, all she want to do is go home. And then she started talking about the accident again. And she's like, I wish I hadn't taken my eyes off the road. Nothing would have changed. See, right there, she said it. If she hadn't took her eyes off the road, this would have never have happened, right? So, this is why I want this to be over. I'm gonna stop ranting about that. I just kind of just want them to move on with this. But Jordan's gonna be dealing with this. She's home now. We'll see what happens. I'm glad Curtis was in the room to hear about her routine because I don't think Jordan heard any of that. Chase was down by the water with baby Phoebe, and baby Phoebe had threw up on his shirt. And it's, they look for any reason for Chase to take off his shirt. So Chase is taking off his shirt. But as he's talking to the baby, she's smiling at him. Cute baby. So back at the house, Tracy and Brooklyn are talking. And Brooklyn, again, still worried about this whole thing with the accident and stuff like that. She's telling Tracy, and Tracy's telling her, you don't need to say nothing. Brooklyn is now in agreement because she wants to adopt the baby. So she's like she's not going to say nothing, but she hates that somebody might be brought up, accused of this and it was her. Um yeah, I just ran it. I'm not going to rant again, but yes, Brooklyn is worried about that. So she did tell Tracy that she want to adopt the baby and that, and Tracy's like, yeah, we're going to use every resources to make sure that you can get this baby. Um, After that, Tracy did say go and talk to Chase and make sure that he's on the same page with you. So as soon as Brooklyn went down there, Chase was like he wanted to adopt that baby from day one, right? So they both in agreement. But Chase did bring up, look, use the Quartermain name to get so we can push through the system. So that the baby can stay with them. And then he brings up Willow, of course. He's like, we got a congresswoman on our side. I'm like, whatever. And then, so Brooklyn and him, Chase, are on the same page. They go back up to the house, and here's the interesting part. Um, and Tracy went to go check in on Hades because I think Cody ain't there. So Ethan is there. So they introduced Ethan to the baby and stuff like that. And then they said the only thing they know about the baby is, I mean, because they was telling them a backstory about what happened to the baby's mother. They was like, we only know her name, the mother's name. And when she said the name Brooklyn, remember Ethan is looking for Delilah, so his face was just like, okay, so now he knows that Delilah is not here. I'm wondering if he's gonna tell Brooklyn and Chase who the mother was. Hopefully she ain't got no family so that these people that Chase and Brooklyn can adopt her. But I don't know. Chase and Brooklyn on this nonsense page, that's getting ready to happen because Michael getting ready to be up in the mix. Willow's probably definitely gonna be trying to go after Chase. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with the whole adoption thing. But I want to see if Ethan is actually gonna tell them who Delilah was. Sonny had asked Justine to come meet him at that little room they be hanging out in the back of Charlie's. So Justine was like, "Look, this ain't a booty call, basically, right? She's not up for that for today." So Sonny was like, "No, he didn't call her for that. He was like, as much as he would love to be with her, he was like, he wanted to know about Rick." Because Rick had told him that he was down at that courthouse. So he asked Justine to check in on that. So Justine did. She called around. She was like, no, he wasn't there. So now Sonny has confirmation that his brother was not at that courthouse. So Justine was like, what is this? What is this? Because she helped him with that. And he was telling her the backstory about how Rick was always after him back in the day, and that he was hoping that him and Rick was, turn a new page and they were gonna be close, but now it seems like Rick is lying to him. And he said he's hoping that he's not gonna be back on that same thing about trying to get Sonny. So Justine was just kind of looking. I hope Rick is not on that either. I hope Rick got some side plan that he was gonna take Sidwell down through Ava or something like that. Because Rick did call Ava earlier on, and he did say, I didn't mention this early on in the thing, that did he give Sidwell the information? So I don't know. It looks funny, but I hope it just looks funny and it's not actually what Sonny is thinking it is. So, guys, what was your favorite part about this episode? What was your least favorite part? Let me know down in the comment section. I love smiley faces, thumbs up, comments. And, guys, don't forget to hit that bell notification and a like and subscribe because it really helps the channel. And thank you for joining us again at GHT Time. Till next time, bye.